that could go either way. I mean, I could see phenomenal tank play from the Legion just stomping out Optic, but Optic probably has the second best tank in Overwatch Contenders so far in Smurf. So Smurf versus Panker, that'd be something to see.
But what we are seeing now, it's going to be EnVision versus Fusion University. We're starting it off on Lighthouse. We've got Zachary on the Sombra, as Jaro will be picking up himself.
All right, well, if both teams run Sombra, who truly has the edge is going to be the motto here. As who are you? Gonna start things off with poke from the top. Zachary just looking for any form of hack onto a tank, being the front line Sombra here. Who are you in danger? Has to back out. Buds though, much the same. Both tracers on both ends, feeling the burn, but it's Buds who falls first. And this is gonna give Fusion a big leg up in this first fight.
There was great focus fire coming out from Zachary along with Alarm and Who Are You. The Orb of Discord goes on to Buds, and all of a sudden, all three of them are focusing her down. That's going to allow them to take the point first, Fusion University. Surprising, because a lot of teams do end up running into some difficulties dealing with the Moira, Lucio, Sombra composition, but Fusion University are cutting through that right now.
Zachary got the hack on the Buds. Can he finish him off right now? Buds still trying to stay alive, and no. 27 HP separates the two. And what that really pick up? That just gives Fusion University the time they need. And oh my goodness, McGravy, you're off the edge.
Yeah, it was a game of chicken between Zachary and Buds there. Zachary getting the hack off. Of course, Buds couldn't press E to get out of that. Zachary, though, he was dropped down really low. But the spread from the new buff Sombra does help him out. Who
Are You on a pretty good approach here, has plenty of options to start out this fight. Meanwhile, Zachary gonna have EMP. Both Sombras, in fact, have EMP, so this could come down to who turns out the lights first. Zachary looking for this EMP. He's gonna start things out here, lets it loose, but ends up dying immediately. The fall through wasn't quite there to start out with. The Transcendence is gonna come out, and in fact, Fusion University, right now, they're fighting back and forth, but they lost Zachary. They got Buds in return, and it's 5-on-5 as they dive a little bit deeper, but getting Eye Shiny, that helps quite a bit.
It was great. They were just able to stagger their support ultimates there. The sound barrier comes out, allows them to re-engage. Crackalacken will lose his mech, but the self-destruct allows him to get right back on in. Fusion University already have secured 72% though. Coming into this next fight, EnVision, they have the power play. They have the pulse bomb along with the sound barrier and both tank ultimates. So if they don't take it here, it's just gonna be over.
Buds has to show up. Buds has been getting hacked and isolated by Zachary every single time, and while it's a lot of props to Zachary, to some degree, you have to work around that for your Buds. How do you work around that? Well, trying to get away from Zachary, like, oh my goodness, hacked again early in the fight, but you see the tank play coming from Eye Shiny. Gives him a bit of support, takes down Zachary, lets Buds live, and EnVision still has the opportunity to go through here as both tanks for Fusion are down.
Yeah, they had the fallback of the sound barrier. Even though Buds got hacked, they had all the extra shields. They just brute forced this fight on out. Even then, they were really good about their ultimate usage. So Shiny along with McGravy, they're holding on to both tank ultimates. They're going to be able to extend out these fights, and especially with Jaru, with that EMP, they're going to be able to extend this lead, or extend this even further.
And if you're Fusion, you don't want any flashbacks here. You don't want to go back to the, oh no, getting reverse swept. And it would be a reverse sweep, but losing the round when you were at 99-0, not great. Jaru lets the EMP fly immediately. They're going to use this to isolate out Beast Halo. No escape, abilities locked down. Throw in a Coalescence for good measure as Eye Shiny going to leap to the other end. It's like, no. We've destroyed everyone. It's fine.
And that's what a lot of these teams have been doing now that they're running the Sombra a bit more often. They're trying to get that EMP not onto just the supports, but also making sure that they get the tanks, they get someone like the Winston or the Diva, because they do rely so heavily upon their abilities to stay alive even longer. Now here we come. Fusion University pushing forward. All they have is a Transcendence, and Beast Halo almost has that Primal Rage.
But it's a really good window for the Transcendence. You don't have to worry about the EMP taking out Alarm before you can get a good position. They can wait for the right opportunity. Alarm's under pressure here, and he's going to Transcend. Able to save Crackalacken's mech. Look at how focused he was getting even through the Transcendence. And oh no, he does end up losing the mech, and then he's not going to be enough. Meanwhile, Zachary has the EMP, barrier up for Fusion University, and they just drop the EMP on the point. They're going to use it to get rid of McGravy's mech, if at all possible, and Fusion University takes the fight cleanly after a little bit of trouble. Now, they're going to get the point, and I'm not even sure if Vision can delay.
Buds is going to try. He makes it onto the point, but he's instantly forced to recall. He's got no more blinks left. Overtime ticks away. Fusion University will be able to walk away with Lighthouse with some great aggression. They understood that they had the ultimate lead. They go ahead and push forward with that sound barrier. You saw Shiny, he had to use the Primal Rage just to get backed out of that corner. And so with that, they weren't able to use the tank ultimate to try and delay this out any further. So now we're gonna move on to Ruins. We have Jaru sticking with the Sombra, it looks like, but Zachary's already making the swap. He's going over to the Widowmaker.
I kind of like EnVision's setup here more, even with the Sombra, because Buds is a very good Widow v Widow. I would give it maybe a 55-45 edge to Buds over Zachary here. And you're gonna have Jaru playing just in the back and making Zachary feel very unsafe about themselves. I think this puts Zachary in a very tough position for this Widow v Widow battle.
There's going to be, of course, that kind of quasi-triple support style because Fire and Crimzo are going to be sticking with Lucio along with Zenyatta. But that means that's a lot of sustain for EnVision. Shiny and McGravy should be able to stay topped off.
Well, if you're running this, it also means that it's more pressure on Zachary to get work done, as Who Are You is taken down immediately. Zachary gets Crimzo, though, able to even it up. We said Zachary has to do a lot of work. Well, now the work begins. Alarm out of the, or Buds out of the fight due to Alarm on the other end. And this is fine for Fusion. This is going to give them first control.
Yeah, even though they were able to get that Mega Health Pack control, I mean, when you have someone like Alarm sniping the sniper herself with that Zenyatta, that's a huge contributor to this team fight. So Fusion University will once again start off with the points. Take a look, though. Kraken, he's getting close. He needs to get back into his mech, so he's a little bit vulnerable now, but he will have it, and Vision needs to be a bit more aggressive.
On Vision, they have the recon set up right now, and Who Are You uses that to great effect. Gets the pick off on the Crimzo immediately, and he's not done yet. Gets iShiny for good measure, and already, EnVision's approach, ruined. You gotta reset.
Yeah, we were a little bit worried about Who Are You. When he goes onto the Tracer, he doesn't look as good as he normally does when he's on something like the Genji. But he doesn't have that seemingly slow start that he usually has in a lot of these matches. He's already on fire.
And so far, Zachary's been well protected. He hasn't really had the worry about either getting counter-sniped or Sombra. iShiny in a world of hurt right now, getting pressured on all ends. While this happens, Bud's gonna get rid of Kakalak and just casually sniping him out, gets the baby diva for good measure, and now has to look for both snipers. One, an actual sniper, the other Alarm, who you still gotta respect.
Alarm caught in the corner. Are they gonna chase for that? No. Fusion University will back away and Vision will flip it, but Fusion, they're able to take 59% now. But coming into this next fight, it's going to be Ultpocalypse here. Crimzo's got his Transcendence along with the sound barrier out for Fire and Jaru with that EMP. So Jaru has to be good about getting either Elk or Alarm. Zachary already starts it off. Buds has fallen in that Widow versus Widow.
Buds was a little bit too careless there, did not give respect to Zachary, got picked off early, and Fusion University, they feel this was time to shine. They open up with the early barrier, and the EMP from Jaru doesn't even strip it from most of the players, certainly not Alarm, and Fusion University is working their way back in. You have the self-destruct coming up here early on, and EnVision off of that, now making a little bit more room here within the point. The flanker play just a little bit better, iShiny well protected, and for now, it's looking like they'll keep control.
Possibly, there is a window of opportunity to come in, and that's the window from Alarm. He just snaps that right on open. That's the second time he's taken out Buds with that Zenyatta.
He's tied with Zachary now, or above, one of the two. That is how big of a threat he is on the Zenyatta. Like I said, it's a new double sniper setup, except one of your snipers is actually Zenyatta.
There we go, Fusion have gone ahead and flipped it, and Vision now backing away. So Fusion University, 2 short fights away from walking away with this now, but their tank a little bit depleted. It's only Kraken who's got that self-destruct, while Shiny will be able to push forward with that Primal Rage, create that space for Buds. Buds has not been having a great Widow game so far. Constantly dealing with Alarm, constantly having to deal with Zachary. This is not an enviable position.
To be clear, Buds hasn't been having a great game so far, period. Who Are You, though, gonna get caught early, got hacked and just isolated early on, was trying to be a little bit aggressive and got punished. Now, Fusion University still hanging in there. As you can see, Jaru just working to build up the EMP. Zachary got Crimzo on the other side. Zachary with plenty of room to work with, even as iShiny tries to make room here on the point. It's iShiny and Jaru work there as Buds goes down again! Zachary doing all sorts of work right now, and this is a bad omen for EnVision as Zachary continues to lay in shot after shot, needs a little bit more, gonna get more, Alarm finishing that last little bit, and they're gonna knock EnVision off the point. Fusion University, a clean 2-0.
So that kind of went a way that we were more or less expecting. How do you guys see the gameplay changing from here on out? Like, what does EnVision need to do to start turning this back around?
The EnVision, well, they need to like support Buds a little bit more, because right now Buds is not having he did not have a great Ilios, right? We saw that on Lighthouse. He was constantly getting hacked, so he couldn't take the TVTs. He was going down every single time Zachary was there with a hack. And then, of course, we move on to Ruins, and Alarm and Zachary are constantly just taking him down. He needed more support for that Widowmaker to work, or he just needed to swap off.
Look, I'm going to be blunt here. I have seen a lot of Buds play since the very beginning of Overwatch. Buds is a good friend of mine that I've known way before Overwatch even began, way before the beta. The reality is that Buds, when he's at his peak, is one of the very best hit scan players you can find. He is a monster. But unfortunately, he also has days where he's just not playing up to that potential, and it's very just obvious when that is. And for EnVision's sake, hopefully this is just a one-off for Buds, not something over the course of the series, because if Buds continues to play at the level he's playing at in Ilios for the other few maps, this could be a Fusion game that actually doesn't go to 5.
Yeah, and like what we saw just then, that was Zachary on Widowmaker, just a completely different story, different narrative altogether.
Yeah, and also we do have to actually mention Beast Halo. He was doing a really great job of creating space with that Winston beforehand. When we saw in the Optic versus Simplicity game when they were on Ruins, Optic was the one, I believe, that they had Gray on the Sombra, they had the Mega Health Pack control, and they were able to control the space through that. But EnVision weren't able to do the exact same thing. Even though they had the Sombra themselves, they weren't able to encroach upon the other half of Fusion University's map.
Well, the other thing, too, is that you stop and think about it, right? As far as what the Sombra needs is that if you're running the Sombra, you still need a lot of contribution from your other DPS duo to make most use out of the hacks you get and the pressure you're applying as a Sombra. If Buds is playing a little bit off today, which seemed to be the case, that's going to make the Sombra play from EnVision, which is already hit or miss to begin with, much more miss than usual. So I don't, especially if the dynamic on Ilios is going to be the dynamic going forward, I definitely don't want to see Jaro on Sombra for rest of the series.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and see where we are headed. They are taking us over to Hollywood. You had mentioned something, Jamerson, that I wanted to ask you about. You talked about how the Moira, Lucio, and Sombra comp can be difficult to crack. Why is that?
Well, I mean, this is just what I've heard from a lot of the teams. You know, I've talked to a lot of different teams that have been experimenting with that Moira, Lucio, Sombra composition, and they just say it's something that really just is hard to break. EnVision themselves really like running that. I've talked to McGravy about it, and he's like, yeah, you know, we play this often, and we play this in scrims, and we've been able to just like roll through a lot of people with this composition. But, of course, translating scrim results into actual results is much more difficult. It's much easier said than done.
Yeah, and you know, we did see those two Sombras right there on Ilios. Neither one really fully impacting the game in one way or another. There was some great hacks, but that was really pretty much it. So moving into Hollywood, you're hoping to get rid of the Sombra ZP. What are you hoping to replace it with?
Well, I mean, both teams can run very, very just respectable, strong dive. And also, I mean, it's sort of a hit or miss, right? I think if you're Zachary, do you feel like you could still get the better of Buds by getting hacks on him and Theresa that probably shouldn't happen? I mean, by all means, go ham. But Zachary historically has had his best performances on the Tracer himself, so I would still like to see that come out from Zachary. Fusion University has looked probably their best when they run things standard, much the same as EnVision. So, I mean, both these teams, it was kind of a wash since we were both seeing the Sombra in the last round, but both can play standard very strongly, and it'd be cool to see that go against each other.
Alrighty, well, let's head into game, take it over to Hollywood, and see how the teams fare. Right now, Fusion leading 1-0.
Attackers incoming in 30
Well, we will be seeing Zachary start out here on the Sombra, and I don't mind it in Zachary's case here. He got plenty of good hacks, especially onto Buds in the last round. Made it work. We'll see if it happens again.
Yeah, and his EMP positionings were also great, where he'd be able to get a support and both tanks with it almost every time he threw it down, and that's what you're looking for when you're going for these EMPs. Either get a Zenyatta or get both tanks, make sure that you're able to melt them. So, as we do unlock, it's going to be the full-on dive coming out from EnVision. Jaru is on that Genji. That's what we asked for. That's what we're going to see.
Yeah, and this is EnVision's strongest setup. This is their bread and butter when they're doing super well. And oh my word, Buds already knew where the Sombra was to start things out. EnVision, they're just going to bide their time here, but then go in aggressively. And now you see Buds engaging. The rest of the team diving into the cafe. Bud's looking for the early pickoff on the ground floor, laying in damage to tank rather, but they lose Crimson on the other end. Fusion University deep dives, but they lose their Winston as a result. I don't think that's a great trade for them here, as EnVision now starts getting more control.
They are now starting to push forward. McGravy leading the charge. The dive comes out from Shiny, but Who Are You is able to take out Buds. And as you see, the contributor there, it was the Sombra. The hack made a huge difference. But now Jaru, this is the performance we were looking for. He's dropped down low, but he'll be able to make it out. And now they are slowly grinding away at the defense of Fusion University. Elk falling just does not bode well for FU.
And that's that's the difference, right? When you put Jaru on the Genji. Okay, you lose your Tracer in the Tracer v Tracer duel. If you're running the Sombra, it's a little bit harder to come back. Genji, you can get a pick-off, dash reset, and still have power to spare. And EnVision, from those 2 pickoffs from Jaru, and a generally good tank engage, able to make this work.
And that's why we saw a lot of that triple DPS, also Tracer Genji dive very prominently last year, just because either of those characters can actually just carry a fight themselves. So you need to get rid of both before you can breathe a sigh of relief on your defense now. So as we move into second, take a look. The high ground already getting contested by EnVision.
iShiny melted down. It's like, well, they were contesting the high ground, and then they lost the high ground. iShiny not with a lot of support there. Buds off in no man's land right now, going the step on the Widow Mine, so he is visible to Fusion. There's so many ways they could dive in on him right now. He has to back out and get healed.
Now that he's all healed up, he's got the pulse bomb, but he doesn't have the height. So he needs to find a stair to get onto, as we do have Zachary backing away, having swapped off onto that Widowmaker now. He's on the low ground here, isn't able to get the shots off quite yet. Ooh, forcing out the Primal Rage out from Shiny. Shiny's trying to focus him down.
Oh, he gets a headshot though while discorded. Zachary goes well support through that, and iShiny ends up falling. Sure, he got the pick off, but the res is there. Zachary, in my book, wins that trade. EnVision being very slow here to push things forward. And now, get out of the way. Self-destruct coming in, but Crackback gives up his life for that as Crimson blows up the other side. Here comes the blade. Jaru, chaos abounds, looking for the kickoff, and finds Alarm instead in the worst way. And the idea that Alarm just picks him right off.
Who Are You connects the pulse bomb onto Buds. And Buds was standing right next to Crimzo, but it was only Buds who had that eject button, right, where he can get out of there. So he just leaves a parting present for Crimzo, and he says, sorry, buddy, I'll see you later. But now they're going to swap off. We do have the Mercy coming up from Fire, and Buds is now swapping off to the Widowmaker. He wants to take the Widow duel up against Zachary.
Buds going to get his second chance at the Widow v Widow. Did not quite go well in Ilios, but there's always times for redemption here. Ooh, so close to getting Elk in on the moment. Now he turns to Who Are You? Looking for any target he can get, just a little bit off for both. Now going to the sky aggressively. Zachary wasn't looking, but Zachary's still safe. EnVision, meanwhile, just looking for the right way to engage as they do get payload progress, 1% on the point.
With 2 minutes and 55 seconds, Buds, there we go. We'll be able to get some retribution, taking out Zachary now. Elk will res him back into this, but having lost Beast Halo, they lose a huge presence on the point.
Yeah, now it's up to EnVision. No, Who Are You just got popped! Buds starting to wake up here on Hollywood. The Giant might be, oh my goodness, both supports down. Neither Elk nor Alarm could get away from that self-destruct from McGravy, and that certainly opens the way.
Yeah, Buds pushing all the way towards the next spawn. Crimzo able to get a delayed kill onto Who Are You as the studio gates open. Look, Buds already, he's got the pocket of fire here. He wants to try to find any more staggers, but Fusion University are just gonna wait back in their spawn now. They have to be careful here on the left-hand side. Elk and Alarm as they push forward.
EnVision, for now, doing a light contest to the high ground, and Who Are You got popped again, forcing the resurrection out. Buds now starting to really feel himself more on Widowmaker, and Fusion, even as they try and contest, they're having to fight for every little bit. They're going to open up with the Valkyrie, dive on him. Beast Halo, under assault, has the Primal Rage to stay alive. Meanwhile, Elk got caught out. He was mid-Valkyrie, and iShiny did not care, bouncing him against the back. And with that pickoff, EnVision now has room to work with. They're gonna force out the Transcendence from the other side, and Jaru just dives on in, slices through Alarm, and he's not done yet.
looking for more, but he will not find it as the rest of the members of Fusion University will back away now. Krakenlaken had nowhere to go. He's just going to go ahead and force the reset for himself. But with Fusion University swapping off onto more of their comfort roles, Zachary going over to the Tracer, and now Who Are You on the Genji. They've got almost both of their ultimates up. We'll see if they could be the difference makers for their teams here. Zachary needs to force out Crimzo's Transcendence first.
Fusion looking for hope and a prayer, but here's a blade. That's one way. You get Mercy down, you look for more. Who Are You? Dash down, has to just work with what he has. Transcendence gonna ruin the rest of it. Meanwhile, Buds got Zachary in the melee. Gets Who Are You as well. Buds continues his continual assault, one after another. The Widowmaker has woken. Buds is up. Who needs friends? Because you got Buds. EnVision able to come on through, and what a turnaround from just one map.
And it's not just Buds, too. Everyone else on the side of EnVision have just come alive. We're seeing Crimzo really getting active there on the kill feed. He has been very deadly and accurate with those orbs, and it all started off Jaru on that Genji. He has been such a huge difference maker. They're able to play so much more confidently now. You're seeing Buds just having no fear whatsoever with that Widowmaker. He's on the payload almost that whole time with that Widowmaker, just laying waste to Fusion University.
Big turnaround for EnVision, and also just a really fast time being set here in Hollywood. 2 minutes and 11 seconds. That is fast. I think just outright one of the fastest times we've seen on Hollywood, period, so far.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think it is. Maybe we had a 3-something in the earlier on weeks, but no. Having 2 minutes and 11 seconds into your time bank is huge. I mean, we talked about it before. I believe what was like, what map was it? I can't quite remember. Maybe Numbani, where there was like 1:05 on Numbani left, but having 2 minutes and 11 seconds left here on Hollywood is a completely different story. And so now it's going to be Fusion University on the offense here. Zachary and Who Are You, they're not going to chance anything. They're going straight for the dive. Who Are You going to start off coming out the gates with this Genji?
Were you opening up on the Genji, and it is basically just a reverse of what we saw before, where we saw Fusion University open up with the Sombra on defense and EnVision go the full dive. Now you flip it back the other end, and you know there is good reason here, and we'll see what Jaru does in the Sombra. And I don't think the Sombra on first is necessarily that bad, but I don't want to see it carried on through second and third, which has sometimes been the case for EnVision.
And so we're going to see that Sombra, Lucio, Moira composition out from EnVision. Now Buds does have to be careful though, because this time around he's basically the solo DPS. Jaru might not be able to, never mind, complement that. Buds already taking out Alarm, but Zachary has answered back. Crimzo has fallen.
My goodness, quite a difference here between Buds and map 1, map 2. Oh my god, that was close. Fire just barely able to wall skate his way over. It's not enough. Who Are You finishes what Zachary starts. And this early ambush by EnVision now just not working out well at all. Fusion University teaching a class in pain, as EnVision might be losing this first point in record time.
Yeah, losing Crimzo there was possibly the worst thing that could happen to EnVision when they're trying to hold up that high. Honestly, if you lose someone, you need to lose someone really quickly or win out that fight. You're not winning up that fight, just go ahead and reset so that you guys don't get staggered one by one on the point, which is exactly what happened to EnVision. And so now, Fusion University moving on to second. They're going to have 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So Who Are You and Zachary once again coming up with their ultimates.
This is so quick that Fusion University doesn't actually have the ultimates you normally have after getting through first. Zachary goes for the Pulse Bomb, not going to get it early on, but Eyeshiny's still going to fall. He was super deep. Buds on the other end, though, going to equalize. Gets the Pulse Bomb onto the counterpart, but falls to Who Are You as Zachary now. Room to work with. Meanwhile, we look to Jaru. Getting pretty close to an EMP, but not being time to stop Who Are You. Slices through the top, slices through the bottom. Able to let Fusion University get this through, at least halfway through point B.
I don't think that blade was really necessary coming up from Who Are You, because EnVision, you could tell that they were just trying to stall out the point for as long as possible, but because they do have Zachary, he's got the Pulse Bomb, you got both support ultimates up, Who Are You could be a little bit more liberal with it. Let's just hope it doesn't come back to bite them, but now Zachary's forced to back away. Buds, with the second sense, just knew that Zachary was up there.
Big difference from earlier in the series. Zachary, meanwhile, has a Pulse Bomb, doesn't get tagged by the EMP. Jaru lets it loose, and Fusion University, they're not even able to get a single kill off it. EnVision now can go the other way. They're going to use the Coalescence, the counter engage in play, moving right back the other way. But Who Are You? unable to get anything done. Falling to Jaru. Jaru also out. Zachary working around the outskirts right now, has Buds in his sights. Meanwhile, back at the point, you saw iShiny able to just isolate Alarm, so the defense for EnVision here still getting the better of this engage. And Jaru, he's heading off the Sombra. He's now a Genji.
Swapping off to Genji, he's going to allow him to get back to the point sooner. See, very low targets on the side of Fusion University. They have been healed up as the self-destruct from McGravy connects. Beast Halo has fallen. Who Are You is gone. Fusion University, they need a reset.
Fusion University not going to have a whole lot for this next push either. So anytime advantage they have of point A, that's gone now.
3 minutes and 30. Just right outside the second checkpoint here. Fusion University used a lot into that. That's a moment where you wish you maybe had a blade. That's the turnaround play. But Who Are You? He's at 75%. Just a few more shurikens. He will have it, but he's going to have it in the face of a sound barrier, in the face of a coalescence. It's going to be difficult to succeed with it.
Buzz is on the flank right now. Supports in his sights. Easy stick. Gets to Alarm. And iShiny's just going to be diving right in after. Very, very well executed push here from EnVision. Sets the tone.
Oh, Zachary goes ahead and uses that pulse bomb. He was hoping to try and get some sort of stagger there, as EnVision may have been overextended, but it's all right. EnVision will back away. Coming into this fight, Jaru with the blade. We're seeing EnVision already look like a completely different team when they put when they put Jaru on the Genji.
Also, it's just been a much better game for Buds. He's been playing out of his mind. Offense, defense, doesn't matter. If you were to change the name, I would believe it was a different player back on Ilios. But here comes Who Are You? A blade of his own. Bud's already out of it. Bit of a Castle Curse, but you have the blade on the other side. Joe says, no! Who Are You? I don't care! Moving the other side. Got one, but it's going to be stopped there. Beast Halo hoping, please help back. No, not going to happen in time. Zachary, still in the fight, moving to the other side. Focusing on the tanks right now, but self-destruct is going to force Fusion to scatter in the moment. And yet, they scatter and re-engage. They get the D-Mech right after, and Alarm ready to not only land damage, but also Transcendence if necessary, as Fusion is now taking this fight the other way.
Now, even though Fusion are walking away with this fight currently, EnVision are doing a great job of stalling this out. They force out the Transcendence from Alarm. A lot of resources are going into this fight right now from Fusion University. And the thing is, you have to remember, they still have to complete out this map. There's another opportunity for EnVision to come in here and contest this point.
Will they, though, is the question. I think their tanks are close enough. They have a Primal Rage. They're going to go for it. This is risky to a degree, but I think going for it here is the right call. So you're going to see iShiny leap on in. It's going to take a bit of damage here early on. Buzz almost gets picked off, but they haven't had to use the Primal Rage yet. Jaru has built up the blade all the while, and EnVision is weathering the storm as McGravy takes poke, but is able to mostly get out of harm's way. Here's the blade from Jaru, looking for anything again. Diva armor? Why not? Diva's gonna end up getting demeched, and EnVision is holding right now when Fusion desperately needed to get in.
So it looks like it might just come down one final fight for Fusion University. What's nuts there is that Jaru, even though it was Who Are You who pulled out the blade first in the last fight, was able to build up another one so quickly. He's at 25% here, so it's going to be Jaru this time just to be able to blade without so much contest. Bayer will have that sound barrier though, and Who Are You's been having a difficult time just trying to find any opening. Every time he goes in, McGravy is right there to try and dislodge him from his angle of approach. So now it's coming down to the last 25 seconds. Fusion University need to capture second just to keep this map alive.
We're into the final 20 seconds. Who Are You? A blade and the hopes of Philly on his shoulders in the moment. Fusion University taking the left alley. They want to apply pressure to the payload, create an opportunity for Who Are You to make this as good as it possibly can be. Now, they must engage into the payload, and here's Who Are You? Blade out, gets his man. Is it gonna be two? Chasing after Winston. No, he's not able to dash properly towards the end, and yet it doesn't matter. Fusion University, the front line, was doing well at the same moment. They've gotten the pickoffs they need, and point B, a real possibility.
Yep, with the cleanup onto Jaru and Buds. Last vestige of defense here coming up from EnVision falling will allow Fusion University to capture out second and move on. But at this point, looks like EnVision should be able to hold on as long as they actually just put a stop to them anywhere. They have a huge win condition.
Or overtime.
Yeah.
Overtime is totally fine for EnVision. Just don't let Fusion get in the next minute 10. Who cares if they get in overtime? Then you get a push that EnVision or that Fusion probably won't be able to stop.
With a minute left here, it's going to come down to EnVision just stalling this out even more, which they've been doing great here on Hollywood now. On the high ground, it's Who Are You, trying to make sure they can't get in. It's Zachary who's able to make his way onto Crimzo, taking him out. EnVision, though, they're going to go ahead and go aggressive, fight on the payload, once again, burn down the clock of Fusion University.
This is totally fine. I'm not even sure if it's intentional right now, but they're losing well. The concept where you might be losing the fight, but you're buying so much time it doesn't matter. This is actually a loss for Fusion right now because of how much time they just was removed off the clock. They have to cleanly beat EnVision in the final fight.
25 seconds. 25 seconds and Fusion University have almost 6 ultimates online, but EnVision, all they have to do is stall this out. Stall this out another 15 seconds here, and they set themselves up with a huge win condition. Pulse Bomb along with the blade comes out, but neither connect. There we go. Who Are You takes out Jaru, but he needs to find more.
He needs to find more, but by the way, iShiny's in Primal Rage. He's delaying. 4, 3, 2, 1. We're in overtime, and that's good enough for EnVision. Yes, Fusion came into this fight with an overwhelming advantage. Yeah, EnVision, if they held, they could win the map outright. But even if we see Fusion bring this in here, they don't get another attack. EnVision has done their job, and hey, they might be doing this job right now. They're coming right back in. iShiny get a king kill to the back. EnVision, they just want to end it here.
Yeah, the Transcendence is going to go ahead and fizzle away. Who Are You getting hunted down, but Jaru will be able to translocate, and with that Discord Orb, they melt him down. Beast Halo will try his best, but he falls, and there it is. EnVision will tie it up 1-1.
Yep, you don't even get to play for the draw if you can't at least finish out the map.
So now we see EnVision take their shot with it. We saw Fusion come alive on the first map, and now here's EnVision. What did they do differently? What did you see differently?
Jaru was on Genji.
Eventually.
Also, equally as brief, Buds shot people well. He didn't shoot people well the previous map. Well done, Buds.
So it was just the ramp up that we talked about before.
I mean, it's just playing to your strengths, right? And they do have a great dive squad. Even though they've had the success in scrims of running the Sombra, it hasn't translated well so far here into Contenders. So they can't rely upon it. But in second, with that Sombra, they were able to stall out a really long time. And that's what Sombra can do, especially if you have that Mega Health Pack controlled. Your tanks can keep cycling in and out, especially when it gets to that bend right before jail. That is a great place for your tanks to fight because they can just keep darting in and out, back in and out cycling.
And the other thing, I mean, to that point as well, EnVision, just their ability to delay over and over again, where you look at that final fight towards point C and the lead up to it. Yeah, Fusion University had a lot of momentum and they weren't losing, but they weren't easily clearing EnVision off of these points. And the end result of all this is that EnVision bought tons of time to where even if they lost the very final fight, it didn't really matter anymore.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you were talking about there at the end as far as like counting down into overtime. Overtime, for once, really didn't matter.
No, not really. I mean, it opened up the possibility of a draw if Fusion would have been able to hold on first for not let one tick for 2 minutes, but statistically, that's a pretty tall order. So the best thing there was just simply for EnVision being able to hold them off and bring it into overtime because that just in most cases is a win. So they were able to achieve that, and then they actually got the win outright anyways.
As far as we've seen as, you know, in gameplay against Fusion, how has EnVision ranked as far as being able to adapt to Fusion's playstyle?
Well, I think right now EnVision are trying to play a lot more aggressive. That's why in a lot of these engagements, we're actually seeing their supports in the front line, actually going after the back line of Fusion University. So they're trying out this much more aggressive style against them. And that's what you kind of want to do sometimes up against Dive, right? If you play too passively, that allows someone like Who Are You to find his angles to get in. But if you're coming in at an odd angle where all of a sudden the supports are in the back all the way into the on top of your supports, that's not an angle that you're actually used to fighting against. So I think Who Are You is getting a little bit caught off guard in that kind of approach coming out from them.
The other thing too is that when we've seen Fusion do really well against teams, they do well in basically one or two very key areas. One area is that, frankly, they usually outdo other DPS in the other team, and we saw that back on the first map, but Zachary and Who Are You have been very much beating their match in Jaru and Buds. And even though Alarm has been playing very well, it hasn't been quite enough.
Yeah. Before we went on break last time, I asked you guys to arm wrestle me, and you guys both refused, and I was really hurt by that, and I was just wondering why.
Well, you see, I don't have an Old Spice hand gym at home, which I know you are a card-carrying member of.
I didn't have to do the throw this week. Yay!
I have no physical strength because I do not use the Old Spice hand gym. I'm lazy.
All right, anyway, so this is, we're going on break. We're going to go hang out with Old Spice Hand Gym. Stay tuned because when we come back, we're going to see if EnVision can keep up the heat.